we're at our spot here at D.I.Y. Not Boondy, D.I.Y, the locals call it.
Not a bad spot, Mrs. Mrs. is very busy over here, aren't she? Yeah. It is nice in the sun. Copper. So yeah, there's I think there's one car here, but we were parked over there. That was our spot last night. And we just shifted because this is a little bit bigger, but we're going to have a look at the D.I.Y rock, the actual rock. And there's a dam here as well, so we'll show you a bit of that. And we got hot water issues. It's not wanting to fire up. It's doing that. So no shower last night, was there? Anyway, let's see if we can get to the bottom of that today as well. The Swift hot water system. So what we've done, as you can see there, the let me get out of the shade there, maybe that's better. But the pilot light, it's got two ignition switches there. Well, only one of those is working, and I've cleaned it up and tried to get it going. That's the main power to the pilot light switch. But yeah, not sure why we've only got one working, but yeah, that could be the issue. I've also cleaned out where the gas comes in, so you've got your intake for the gas into here, and so it comes around, and your pilot light sits situated inside here. So I've cleaned that end out. There's a little valve in there where the gas is let through. But yeah, not too sure. Yeah, if anybody knows, I tried to Google it as well. Yeah, why does a Swift hot water system only have one of the igniters sparking? Yeah, so it's swapped over, straight back in, and 4 screws. And Mrs., when I get this back, she's going to go and fire it up. I'll actually see if it does work. Where that one and that one. Alright. Right, I've just heard it being switched on. Let's see what happens. So it's just here. That's all it is. She goes straight away. Let's go. So that's all that is. That's your ignition switch. And that just fits in there. So if it's not lighting like it was when I a few episodes ago, that's probably what the problem is. So there you go. Two screws there, and there it is, what the inside looks like. Before you kick off too, the couple of things you'll need to do if you're off grid on your 12 volt power and water, you'll need to make sure that you switch off your hot water, 12 volt, and if you're on 240 then you'll need to switch the hot water off there as well. I'd also unplug if you're on 240 so there's no power going in. And if you're on 12, also just switch off that 12 volt isolator. We've got one at the van, not all vans have got one. Turn your water off, and then finally turn your gas off. So to get started though, I'll show you what we do here. So looking inside here, you can take these two little clips off there, and you can actually remove the whole door, which I'll do shortly. So this is your flute cover there, so just 2 screws in there, take that off. This is the cover for your element. Heater element, so it's only 4 screws there, and in here is where your anode is. So that's your cold water inlet, this is your hot water outlet. So this is the one you disconnect first and hang it over, and once you disconnect the hot water outlet, the water should just run out of the hot water system, so I'll show you that. And the last safety thing is to actually disconnect that gas there. You may remember in the first episode of the Swift we replaced this 12 volt ignition switch pack. Yeah, so just pull that hole out. We replaced that already. Now we're just going to do a service on the anode. We'll have a look at the heating element, and the thermostat's in there as well too, but I think that's going to be okay. Alright, let's take you through that. You've also got your pressure relief valve here that should you have been using the hot water system before we do this service, you will need to get rid of any pressure from the hot water in there before you bleed it, so that you'll see that just come, see it dripping out there. We've got no pressure, so it's only just dripping, but it normally would shoot out of there. So don't forget to do that as well before we start pulling it apart and bleeding the tank. Didn't mention also you'll need a 38mm tube spanner to get out the heating element. So it's yeah, you can buy them from caravan shops or even hardware, but 38mm, that's a large diameter. I'll show you the end. It's I think they were about $25, $26 or something, but that's it's got to be for this size here. Yeah, that's actually 38mm. So righto. First thing we're going to do is disconnect the cold water inlet. Then we'll take the cover off that covers the heater and the thermostat. We'll take the flute cover off, just 2 screws. That's got 4 screws. And then we'll take the hot water outlet off as well, and when we take that off, water should come out of here after I disconnect that, so we'll see how we go. Righto, flute off. Cover off. And you can see your heating element there, thermostat in there, which I don't think we'll need to cover, so we'll just take this cool water intake off and this off, and then we'll get all the water out of the tank, and then we can get into here, so we're going to unscrew that as well. So that first, then I'll unscrew this to which is the inlet where the anode is, and we'll disconnect this one, and so the water should come out of here. Meant to also say we're going to take the gas off as well, so we'll do this one. The cold water inlet from there, so we'll just take this off here. Now, it won't start flowing until we take this hot water outlet one off, so I'll just try and get that off, and we'll see if the water comes out. And there you go. As soon as you disconnect it, it starts coming out. So in there is where your anode is, so we'll pull that out and have a look very shortly when this tank bleeds. Righto, we'll just see what this anode looks like. It should look like this. So we'll pull it out and do a bit of comparison. So it's just about to come out now. Calcium fired in there. They're older than new. So I reckon we'll whack that new one in. Yeah, might give that little cavity a bit of a flush too. But now that it's coming to 6 years old. That never been replaced. So we should get a good while out of this one if we stay away from the bore water. Oh, I just realised on the new anode, there's a little plastic O-ring that was on the old one that I've had to actually snap it to get it off. But there's, at the end of it, there's 2 little clamps here you pull together, and you can pull off the actual anode and then slide on that plastic, looks like an O-ring. Alright, let's get that element out and have a look at it. Things first, we'll just take those wires off and remember where they go. Right, they're both off. We'll get them out of the way. And put our tube spanner on, 38mm you'll need. You can buy them from caravan shop. And you need a screwdriver as well to do the turning. I don't know if that anode looked the way it did. I reckon this might have a bit of corrosion too, but we'll soon see. And just see what it looks like compared to the newer versions of them. There it is. It doesn't look in bad condition. But we can test those because they should be putting out between, if you set your multimeter to ohms, it should be putting out between 15 and 20, so we'll just check that, see if it's still in good nick.
you taking me high. Ain't nobody like you. I'm not coming down. Ain't nobody like you. I could go.
This is the camera lady. So on the old one, it's going down, down, down. 52.6. This is a new one. 51.5. So I think, missus, what do you reckon? We'll just use the old one again?
Yeah.
Oh, it's got a bit of gonk in it. Should we just put the new one in while we got it here? Because that's going a bit gunked up already. I think we'll do that. Yeah, we'll put the new one
You're
in.
in charge, Mr. D.I.Y.
Righto. And that's what happened to our old anode.
Yeah.
So that's what we're replacing. Heating element and anode tonight. So we'll quickly put them back together and fill the tank back up, and it'll be beer time. You got to do this. Beer time. Ready? All the way home. Right in. Like that. So that's the anode in. The heating element. I'll put the new one in. It just slides in. Now, trying to match up which way it was. Let's just see which way it ends up, because there's our two wires. So I have to work out which is positive and which is negative, so I'll put the multimeter back on that. Tighten him up first. Right. Let's just make sure we've got positive and negative. So left should be negative if we get our 52 back. There it is, 51.2. So we've got our positive and our negative. There we go. I'll screw this where the anode goes, screw it back in. Put our cold water, that's our cold water inlet. And we'll put our hot water outlet back in. We can probably plug our, let's just make sure that is tight enough. Yep, that's pretty good. So put our positive and negative back on. That one. And that one. Alright, then we'll screw our cold water inlet joiner in. There was a bit of a bugger getting out. Go the opposite to the way that we disconnected when we reconnect. Put the hot water back in first. Hot water outlet. And that's that in. We can do the cold water. Put him back in. Gas is back on, cold water inlet. I think that's pretty good. This should have done click, but it didn't, but I think we're good. Hot water's back on, so we'll put the flute cover back on, put the heating element and thermostat cover back on, and then fill it back up and see how we go. We'll see if it works. All right, we've got it working on gas. It's working on 240 as well. Good to go, missus.